Moving day is finally here for our girl Lu Yang. Her friend thinks she's crazy for working so hard when she could be relaxing. But moving into this tiny dorm is the only way to escape the memories. She tries to play it cool while hauling furniture, but her friend sees right through her. Why is our poor heroine in such a rush to become a corporate slave? Lu Yang freezes, her mind going completely blank. She reaches into a box and finds a hidden treasure. It's an old wallet case, and one look at the photo inside sends her spiraling. This mysterious girl was her entire world. She hoped a new job would make her think of her less. Look at how happy they were back then. Her friend snaps her back to reality, and Lu Yang forces a fake smile. Her friend finally heads out for a hot date, leaving our girl all alone. The silence in the room is deafening. Lu Yang collapses onto her bed, feeling the weight of the world. She stares at the ceiling, lost in thought. She can't help but check her phone, and sees a new post from the girl who haunts her dreams, Su Gui. The longing is absolutely savage. She clutches her phone like a lifeline, terrified of these feelings. As she drifts off to sleep, her mind travels back to where it all began. 7 years ago in the heat of summer, a young Lu Yang arrived at a strange new house. She was just a shy little nugget back then. While the adults talked about boring work stuff, Lu Yang felt like a total outsider. She was so pouty and awkward, kicking stones and wishing she was anywhere else. Our poor heroine felt so lonely, until someone suddenly approached her from behind. She noticed a beautiful butterfly clip and looked up in absolute awe. A gorgeous girl appeared like a summer dream. Su Gui was stylish, confident, and totally radiant. She flashed a dazzling smile that could melt ice. Even her outfit screamed main character energy. The moms were thrilled to see them together. But Su Gui didn't wait for an intro. She immediately pinched Lu Yang's cheek and called her adorable. Our girl was so flustered she practically jumped out of her skin. She wasn't used to people being this chaotic. Her mom told her not to be rude, but Su Gui just laughed it off. She was so beautiful it was actually intimidating. Lu Yang could only pout in silence, while the adults praised her good temper. Su Gui realized she went too far and apologized for the pinch. Lu Yang gave her the ultimate side-eye. Then Su Gui offered a deal, pinch me back and we're even. She leaned in close, showing off her perfect face. Lu Yang hesitated for a second, before actually going for it. Even, she muttered, trying to act tough. Lu Yang was still acting like a little grump, but Su Gui was completely stunned. Suddenly, Su Gui exploded with joy, screaming about how cute she was. She was totally swooning over our girl. Su Gui was so excited, she started making plans for them to be real sisters. She reached out a hand, inviting Lu Yang into her world. Lu Yang looked down, her heart doing backflips. When Su Gui grabbed her hand, our heroine's world finally gained some color. That smile was the beginning of her downfall. They walked home hand in hand under the summer sun. It was a perfect golden memory. But back in the present, reality is a total nightmare. Lu Yang is exhausted and spacing out at her desk. Her coworker has to scream her name just to wake her up. She pretends to be busy typing, but her brain is fried from overwork. She glances at the clock, dreading what's next. Suddenly, her terrifying boss appears. Lu Yang trembles as she's hit with a mountain of new deadlines. Can our poor heroine survive the corporate grind while her heart is still stuck in the past? Our girl is trying to play it cool at her desk, but her face says she's seen better days. She's surviving on stealthy sips of caffeine and sheer willpower. But honestly, the corporate grind is real, and another cup of bitter coffee is the only thing keeping her soul in her body. Between the endless overtime and the bitter brew, she's basically a zombie in a button-down. She's dumping sugar into her mug like it's the only sweetness she'll ever know. Our poor heroine had high hopes when she joined this company, but work has officially crushed her spirit. Just as she's about to give up on life, her phone starts screaming for attention. It's her boss, and she sounds way too stressed for comfort. Apparently, an important customer showed up early, and the whole team needs to haul it to the meeting room ASAP. Our girl is on tea duty because, of course, the intern gets the grunt work. She tries to slap some life back into her face, praying she doesn't pass out. She tells herself to just work hard and get through it. She carefully carries the tray toward the meeting room, completely unaware that her life is about to get chaotic. She hears her boss playing the perfect host, but then a voice from the other side of the door stops her heart. It's a voice she knows all too well, one she never expected to hear in this sterile office. She's so rattled she almost spills the tea right then and there. Her hands are trembling and her heart is doing gymnastics. She steps into the room like she's walking toward her doom. Every step feels heavier than the last as she realizes her glimmer of hope is standing right in front of her. She feels like a fish that's finally taken the bait, and there's no turning back now. She stands there frozen, tray in hand, looking like she's seen a ghost. Her boss is totally oblivious, ushering her in and introducing her as the smart intern with all the big ideas. Xiao Lu is sweating bullets, wishing the floor would just swallow her whole. She finally gets a clear look at the customer and the world stops spinning. It's her, the radiant, impossibly beautiful Miss Su. And Miss Su isn't just a customer, she's the woman our girl has been pining for. The boss is shook as Miss Su immediately recognizes our heroine and pulls her into a hug. Xiao Lu is currently spiraling because she hasn't washed her hair in days and has dark circles that could rival a raccoon. Miss Su looks absolutely flawless while our girl is rocking a ketchup stain on her shirt. Talk about a nightmare scenario. When the boss asks how they know each other, our girl panics and blurts out that they're just neighbors. Miss Su's smile falters and the room suddenly gets very cold. The awkwardness is so thick you could cut it with a knife as Xiao Lu sets down the tea. She doubles down on the old family friends story, acting like they haven't seen each other in forever. Miss Su looks genuinely stunned, clearly hurt by being relegated to just a neighbor. The vibe of the meeting shifts instantly and Miss Su goes full Ice Queen mode. She demands they finish quickly because she has important places to be. Xiao Lu can't even look her in the eye. The boss whispers that our girl has to give the main presentation, which is exactly what she needs right now, more pressure. They move to the conference room and the tension is high enough to snap a cable. Xiao Lu stands up to present, her voice shaking like a leaf. But Miss Su interrupts her before she can even start, making the poor girl even more nervous. The lights go down and the projector flickers to life. Miss Su watches her with a gaze that could pierce through steel. Despite the stuttering start, our girl finds her rhythm and starts to shine. She's actually doing it, her flow becomes smooth, and she's killing the presentation. Miss Su watches her, a small proud smile hidden in the shadows. She's thinking about how much that little girl from her past has grown up. When the meeting finally ends, Miss Su is so lost in thought that the boss has to snap her out of it. She recovers her cool, fixes her earring, and prepares to leave. Our heroine is practically vibrating with relief as she sits back down. But the universe isn't done with her yet. The boss tells her to see Miss Su out. Xiao Lu follows behind like a kicked puppy, convinced Miss Su wants nothing to do with her. Miss Su initially rejects the help, saying she knows the building better than any intern. Our girl's heart sinks, but she gathers her courage and runs after her anyway. Miss Su looks back with a knowing smile that sends Xiao Lu's heart into overdrive. They step into the elevator, and the doors close on the most awkward silence in history. As the floors count down, the air in the small space becomes electric. Our girl is panicking, wondering if she should apologize or say literally anything at all. The confined space makes every breath feel heavy. All she can hear is the soft sound of Miss Su's breathing. She's spiraling, wondering if she's just a girl next door to her after. Suddenly, Miss Su lands and her face inches away. She whispers that if our girl doesn't start breathing, she's going to suffocate. Xiao Lu is frozen in place, her face turning a bright shade of tomato red. When the elevator dings, she jumps back like she's been electrocuted. Miss Su just smirks and asks if she's stupid. Our poor girl is completely flustered, but Miss Su isn't letting her off the hook. She leans in one more time, looking gorgeous and savage all at once. She asks why her young won't recognize her, saying she'd be truly sad if she's been forgotten. Su Gui isn't letting our girl off the hook that easily, reminding her that they lived together for 3 whole years. But our poor heroine can barely handle the tension as they ride the elevator in silence. Lu Yang tries to keep her distance with a cold, polite smile. As the doors click open, she tries to make a break for it, leaving Su Gui standing there looking absolutely heartbroken. Lu Yang thinks she's being smooth by acting like a professional stranger, but Su Gui is seeing right through the act, wondering why her favorite girl is being so distant again. The pain on our heroine's face is obvious, and as she walks away, she looks like she's carrying the weight of the world. Su Gui watches her go, realizing she wants to see her more than anyone else. Suddenly, the dam breaks and our girl starts trembling, tears finally spilling. They stand in the dim light of the hallway, the silence heavy between them. Su Gui can't take it anymore and calls her a coward, reaching out to grab her before she can run away again. She catches her hand in a firm grip and drags her along, determined to get some answers. When they finally stop, Su Gui is the one looking savage and hurt, telling Lu Yang that she's the one who should be crying. And for avoiding her like a plague every time they cross paths, Lu Yang just stands there sobbing her eyes out. Su Gui keeps the pressure on, accusing her of having absolutely no conscience. Our girl tries to explain through her hiccups, but it turns into a full-blown chaotic meltdown. Between the wails, she cries about not wearing makeup, having a dirty shirt, and not washing her hair for days. She's a total mess, spiraling because her big work presentation didn't go as planned. The dramatic breakdown is so ridiculous that Su Gui can't help but burst out laughing. She swoons over how cute Lu Yang is when she's overwhelmed. She wipes away a tear, telling her that she's seen her at her worst and still thinks she's perfect. Su Gui teases her for finally being honest, and immediately asks her out for dinner this weekend. Su Gui leans in, complimenting her fluffy hair like she's a cute puppy. She keeps teasing her, messing with her hair while our girl tries to protest. Before she leaves, she gives a stern warning to watch out for the office queen, Kang Lanjai. Lu Yang is left standing there, her heart doing backflips. As Su Gui heads off to her meeting, our heroine realizes that the tiny seed of feelings she had 8 years ago hasn't withered away at all. Standing alone in the parking lot, she realizes that no matter how much she tried to suppress it, that love has been growing steadily this entire time. It's rooted deep in her soul, branching out until she can't ignore it anymore. She didn't even notice the moments. Her secret crush transformed into something massive. The realization hits her like a ton of bricks. Her love for Su Gui isn't a small sprout anymore. It has grown into a towering, immovable tree. Back at the office, the architecture is cold, but our girl is still glowing, much to the suspicion of her coworker Zhao Yao. Zhao Yao teases her for blushing so hard after seeing a client off. They drop into gossip mode, discussing how Kang Lanjai has finally seized control of the creative department. Zhao Yao treats the woman like a literal queen. And right on cue, the queen herself appears. Kang Lanjai puts on a gentle front, but her words are a total threat, telling Lu Yang she's keeping an eye on her. Our girl is sweating bullets, completely stiff with fear. The boss warns them that if the new plan fails, she'll be personally overseeing their overtime. Once the coast is clear, Zhao Yao asks the million-dollar question, who exactly is Su Gui to her? On the train ride home, Lu Yang ponders her answer. Is she just the GAE next door? She stares at her reflection, finally admitting the truth to herself. Her phone dings with a message from Su Gui, asking if Thai food is okay for Saturday. A small, genuine smile finally breaks across her face. No matter what they were before, they're equals now, and she can finally face her feelings. Saturday arrives at a lively shopping mall. Lu Yang checks her map, nervous about the big date. She actually put in the effort, wearing a chic blue top and a floral skirt. She checks her bunny earrings, worrying if she looks weird. She's stuck in her head, debating if she should be professional and distant or go full clingy mode. She tells herself to just be normal. But her heart has other plans. Suddenly, she hears her name. She turns around, blushing instantly. Su Gui makes a grand entrance, looking like a total goddess in a vibrant orange dress. She struts forward, radiating main character energy. Everyone in the mall is stunned by her beauty. She looks absolutely savage and stunning, and our girl is completely mesmerized. Lu Yang is so flustered she tries to hide her face. But Su Gui isn't having it. She leans in and tells her she looks really pretty. Our girl is shocked as Su Gui gently lifts her chin. They share an intense, romantic stare down in the middle of the crowd. Su Gui is practically glowing. The tension is electric as they stand inches apart. Lu Yang is trembling, her fists clenched as she tries to keep it together. She's terrified that Su Gui can actually hear her heart thumping through her chest. Su Gui is secretly losing it too, thinking our girl is way too cute for her own good. Finally, she takes Lu Yang's hand, promising to look her best for her as they head off to dinner together. The restaurant vibe is high-end, but the tension between these two is even higher. Su Gui is taking the lead, recommending all her favorite dishes while our heroine Yang Yang tries to keep her cool. Yang Yang stares at the menu, but let's be real, she can't focus on food right now. She's basically short-circuiting, chugging water just to have something to do with her hands. She needs to cool down before she literally melts under that gaze. Finally, the order is placed and the waiter retreats, leaving them in a sea of awkward silence. The atmosphere is thick enough to cut with a knife as they sit in their own little bubble. The silence stretches on until it's almost unbearable. Suddenly, they both try to speak at the same time because of course they do. They lock eyes and for a second the world just stops. Then, the tension breaks into a fit of giggles as they realize how ridiculous they're being. Yang Yang insists she's not the little kid Su Gui remembers anymore. Su Gui takes a long look and realizes her little neighbor really has grown into a stunning woman. Su Gui starts firing off questions like a prosecutor. Where do you live? Why Tianjin? She's curious if Yang Yang was ever going to tell her she was working at the same company. Yang Yang is sweating bullets, not knowing which fire to put out first. Su Gui catches herself and apologizes for being a total helicopter unknight. Yang Yang explains she just wanted a fresh start in a new city. But then Su Gui drops the real question, why did she ghost her for years? Yang Yang looks like she wants to crawl under the table and disappear. She mumbles some lame excuse about Su Gui being way too busy for her. Su Gui isn't buying it for a second, pointing out that she was home for every holiday. Yang Yang can only nod, caught in a lie. Thankfully, the food arrives just in time to save her from further interrogation. The waiter serves up the signature curry, momentarily breaking the heavy vibe. Su Gui promises to stop being so scary so she doesn't chase our girl away again. But Yang Yang finally finds her backbone and admits she was the one who ran away. She serves Su Gui some food, trying to act casual while her heart is doing gymnastics. She peeks over, wondering if Su Gui has any idea how much power she holds. Inside, Yang Yang is screaming because if Su Gui knew the truth about her feelings, she'd definitely be the one running. Su Gui mentions she's hitting 30 soon, the age of settling down. Yang Yang's eyes immediately dart to the ring on Su Gui's finger, her heart sinking. She works up the courage to ask the million-dollar question, is Su Gui in love? Su Gui just laughs it off, looking absolutely savage. She looks Yang Yang dead in the eye and says, I'm not. She claims her career is her only lover and she's not about that drama. To prove it, she slides the ring off, calling it just an accessory. Yang Yang is internally throwing a whole parade because her crush is officially single. Su Gui shifts back to business, asking why Yang Yang acted like a stranger at the office. Yang Yang starts stuttering about workplace ethics and not wanting to rely on connections. She's terrified of the office gossip mill catching wind of them. She keeps her head down, shoveling rice like her life depends on it. Su Gui finds the whole professional act adorable and stands up to tease her. She can't help it and goes in for the kill, pinching Yang Yang's cheeks like she's a toddler. Dinner's over and Su Gui offers to drive her home, much to Yang Yang's delight. As they drive through the city lights, the car is filled with Su Gui's scent and a heavy dose of longing. Yang Yang stares out the window, wishing this road would just go on forever. She doesn't want the night to end, staring at Su Gui's silhouette in the dim light. Every intersection they pass feels like a countdown to their separation. She's completely mesmerized by the woman next to her. They finally pull up and Yang Yang prepares to say goodbye. But Su Gui stops her, pulling out a Chanel bag as a welcome to the workforce gift. Yang Yang is shocked, protesting that it's way too expensive for a newbie. Su Gui just flashes that director-level confidence, telling her to just take it. She even fakes a mosquito attack just to force Yang Yang to take the bag and run inside. Yang Yang clutches the gift, her heart racing. But before she goes, Su Gui leans in close, asking her to stop hiding. They lock hands and the chemistry is absolutely electric. It's a moment that says way more than words ever could. Yang Yang is clearly going through it right now. Our girl looks like she's about to burst into tears at any second while Jie watches her closely. She tries to keep her composure, but those rabbit earrings are the only thing staying still as she trembles. She admits she won't be able to keep this up much longer. Jie points out that every conversation they have is just empty pleasantries and that they've grown distant. It's obvious our poor heroine has been finding every excuse under the sun to avoid her. Jie pleads with her to stop giving her the cold shoulder and just be honest if she's angry. She gently cups Yang Yang's face, making our girl's heart do backflips in her chest. Jie asks for promise to never hide again, calling her by her nickname. Yang Yang can't even hold back the sniffles anymore as the guilt washes over her. The waterworks are officially in full swing as she looks up with those big puppy dog eyes. She confesses that she was actually the one who started this whole cycle of ignoring because she felt unworthy. Jie immediately enters full panic mode, wondering why her favorite girl is crying every time they see each other. She starts frantically wiping the tears away, jokingly blaming herself for being a monster. She even checks to see if Yang Yang's waterproof eyeliner is holding up through all this drama. Our girl starts laughing through the tears, leaving Jie completely baffled by the emotional whiplash. Jie offers a sincere apology for whatever she did to cause this mess, holding Yang Yang by the shoulders. Yang Yang insists that it's not Jie's fault, she just couldn't help her own messy feelings. She finally manages to whisper out the word Jie, and you can practically see the light return to the older girl's eyes. Jie is absolutely swooning that she's finally being called that again after so much silence. She takes it as a sign that the war is finally over and they can be close again. She asks if they can finally make peace and put the past behind them for good. Without a second thought, Yang Yang steps forward. She dives into a massive hug, clinging to Jie like her life depends on it. They finally make up, promising not to hide their feelings or their presence anymore. Jie smiles, looking like she's won the lottery while holding our girl close in the moonlight. Yang Yang realizes that despite everything, Jie is the only one who is truly kind and tolerant with her. She decides that even if this path is like a moth to a flame, she's staying right here. She blushes deep red, fully surrendering to the warmth of the moment. At this point, she doesn't want to be anywhere else but by her side. Then Jie drops an absolute bombshell. She's sleeping over at Yang Yang's house tonight. They arrive at the apartment building and Jie is surprised by how nice it looks inside. She starts exploring the place, calling everything so cute while our girl's soul slowly leaves her body from the stress. Yang Yang is internally screaming because she only has one bed and things are getting real. She considers sleeping on the floor or the sofa to avoid a total meltdown. But she worries that Jie will think they are fighting again if she doesn't share the bed. Her brain has officially reached server down status from the sheer awkwardness. She stiffs up like a board when Jie calls her name from the other room. Jie starts acting all cute, complaining that her clothes are soaked with Yang Yang's tears from earlier. She looks at her with those seductive eyes, saying she needs a shower immediately. She points out the wet spots on her dress, and our girl is basically a walking tomato at this point. While Jie is in the shower, Yang Yang is losing her mind in the living room. She only wanted a simple meal, but now things have escalated to a full-blown sleepover. She's terrified of what might happen later tonight. Suddenly, Jie calls out from the bathroom, asking her to come over. Yang Yang cautiously approaches the door, her heart hammering against her ribs. And then Jie asks the ultimate question, do you want to shower together? The steam is rising, and so is our girl's blood pressure. She stands there blushing furiously, unable to form a coherent sentence. Jie steps closer in the mist, demanding a yes or no answer. She whispers that she really missed her during their time apart. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as Jie moves in closer. Yang Yang eventually retreats to the sofa, clutching a pillow and questioning her entire existence. She's sweating bullets, her face looking like a literal sun. She starts rolling around and screaming into the cushions to let out the steam. When Jie announces she's done, Yang tries to hide her face behind a pillow to avoid eye contact. Jie walks out wearing Yang's clothes, which are a little too small and a lot too effective. Our girl panics and runs into the shower herself, staying in there for a record-breaking 2 hours to avoid the inevitable. She finally peeks out, hoping Jie has already fallen asleep. The room is dark, and it looks like Jie is out cold in the tiny bed. Yang tiptoes toward the bed, feeling like a criminal in her own home. But Jie was just faking it. She wakes up immediately, complaining that the room is way too hot. Yang's internal monologue is just her wanting to end it all right then and there. She tries to pull the covers away, but her brain is just one big ah. Jie grabs her hand, asking if she's still trying to avoid her after they just made up. They both end up under the covers, and Jie starts gossiping about the office politics to break the tension. She whispers that a new team leader has already been chosen for the creative department. Jie gets way too close to whisper the secret, causing Yang's temperature to explode once again. Jie touches her forehead, genuinely worried that she has a fever. Then Jie's eyes land on the jade necklace she's wearing. It's the one our girl worked so hard to buy for her birthday. Looking at her jade pendant, Su Gui admits she used to treat this little trinket like it was Yang herself whenever she felt ignored. She'd hold onto it tight, letting her memories of our girl fill the silence. She even confesses that she'd whisper a few curses at it before bed, which explains why our poor heroine was always sneezing her head off. Finally, she decides to stop bothering her sleeping beauty and calls it a night. Outside, the sky opens up and a soft pitter-patter begins to hit the window. The room is cast in a moody blue light as the rain starts to pour. It's exactly what the weather forecast predicted, setting the perfect stage for some late-night pining. Through the glass, the world looks blurry and cold, but inside, things are heating up. Su Gui lies there thinking about all the birthday gifts Auntie Zhu sent over the years, gifts she knows were actually from Yang. Even while they were apart, our girl never missed a single year, proving she was always watching from the shadows. Su Gui gently caresses her hair, her heart aching with a sweetness she can barely handle. She wonders why Yang is acting so awkward lately, her eyes reflecting the storm outside. They lay side by side in the quiet, the sound of the rain drowning out the world. But Yang isn't actually asleep, she's wide awake and spiraling into a total crisis. She admits to herself that the reason she's so weird is simple: she likes Su Gui way too much. She's terrified that if she reveals the depth of her feelings, Su Gui will run for the hills. She's scared they won't even be able to stay friends, but she can't stop staring at her beautiful face. The rain hammers down, mirroring the chaotic storm in her heart. Under the covers, she whispers a silent confession to the darkness. Su Gui, I like you so much. Morning comes with a bright, sunny sky, a total 180 from the emotional wreck of the night before. Su Gui wakes up feeling like she's being crushed, only to find Yang sprawled over her like a human-weighted blanket. Our girl has absolutely zero personal space boundaries when she's unconscious. She's tangled in the sheets, looking like a total adorable mess. Su Gui doesn't mind though, taking a moment to appreciate the sweet scent of shampoo and baby powder. But the second Yang's eyes flutter open and she realizes the situation, it's game over. She pulls a literal rocket launch out of bed, apologizing at the top of her lungs while her face turns a vibrant shade of tomato. Su Gui is just lying there, half dead from the shock of the sudden movement. Yang starts babbling about the air conditioner being too cold, trying to invent any excuse for why she was cuddling. Su Gui just smiles and cups her face, telling her to calm down and get ready for breakfast date. She gives our girl 5 more minutes to recover from her heart attack before she has to hit the shower. Yang is left sitting there, surrounded by imaginary flowers, feeling like the luckiest girl in the world. Later that day, the sun is high over the city as everyone heads back to the daily grind. Yang is working with a smile so bright it's practically blinding her coworkers. Her office bestie points out that there's a massive personnel change coming today. Everyone thinks the she-devil Kang Lan is about to take over the throne. But Yang's got that inside tea and refuses to spill a single drop. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts as a new presence enters the room. Meet Jiang Sui. She looks like a literal Barbie doll dropped into a corporate office. She's serving high-fashion looks, making everyone's head turn. The office is in an absolute frenzy, wondering if this beauty is a new client or a candidate. Zhao Tiao is practically exploding with curiosity, but Yang realizes this must be the person Su Gui mentioned. The tension skyrockets as Kang Lan finally makes her appearance, looking ready for war. She stops dead in her tracks when she sees the newcomer standing in the middle of her domain. Kang Lan doesn't hold back, immediately roasting Jiang Sui for being unemployed after her supposed resignation. But Jiang Sui isn't intimidated at all, greeting her with a loud, fake cheerful shout. She turns around with a look of pure, sugary sweet mischief. She starts gushing about how Kang Lan still knows everything about her, even though they aren't at the same company anymore. The two of them were actually old classmates, and the rivalry between them is legendary. Sparks are literally flying as they stare each other down, and the rest of the office is just living for the drama. Jiang Sui starts teasing her, calling her Miss Kang with a wink that makes Kang Lan's blood boil. Kang Lan tries to maintain her professional cool, telling her to come to the office to discuss business. But Jiang Sui drops the bomb. She's not here as a guest, she's here to work. She puts on her best innocent act, surrounded by daisies, while Kang Lan looks like she's about to have an aneurysm. The hee-hee versus what energy in this room is absolutely peak comedy. Kang Lan loses it, demanding to know what she just said. Before she can react, Jiang Sui grabs her in a forceful hug, announcing the merger issue that should have been public knowledge. Kang Lan is stunned, realizing her new colleague is going to be her biggest nightmare. Jiang Sui clings to her arm, refusing to let go of her dear friend. She winks at the crowd, dragging a protesting Kang Lan toward the private office. She even has the audacity to critique Kang Lan's fashion sense, calling it old-fashioned. They strut through the office like they are on a runway, leaving a trail of confusion behind them. Kang Lan is struggling to break free, but Jiang Sui is surprisingly strong for a girl who looks like a doll. The whole office watches in silence as the she-devil is dragged away kicking and screaming. Silhouettes of the staff are just sweating, wondering what kind of chaos just moved. Yang Yang immediately pulls out her phone to text Su Gui for the real tea. She's got that silly smile back on her face, making her friend realize she's definitely found a dining partner elsewhere. Cut to a cozy restaurant where Su Gui is waiting, looking effortlessly gorgeous. She explains that the big boss brought in Jiang Sui as a warning to Kang Lan because she was getting too powerful. Su Gui takes a sip of water, looking like a total savage while she breaks down the office politics. Their food arrives, and the shrimp wonton noodles look absolutely mouthwatering. Yang Yang is leaning in, eyes sparkling, more hungry for gossip than her actual meal. Su Gui tells her to eat up, mentioning that the two rivals were college classmates who have been fighting since day one. They've battled over clients, ratings, and even employees for years. Yang Yang admits she's surprised Jiang Sui is such a fighter, since she looks like a Barbie doll without any ambition. Su Gui stops eating, a look of pure confusion and slight jealousy crossing her face. She leans in with a smirk and asks the ultimate trap question, so who is prettier, me or Jiang Sui? Our girl is having a minor existential crisis over lunch while trying to act like a normal human being. Jiang Sui is out here serving absolute looks and making our heroine question her entire reality. She even tries to be sweet by sharing her food, but the romantic tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Seriously, look at those sparkles. She's playing with fire and she knows it. Our poor heroine is blushing so hard she might actually combust on the spot. She tries to play it cool and focus on the beef, but the awkwardness is just off the charts. They decide to get back to the gossip, which is the only thing keeping them sane. Meanwhile, things are getting heated in the director's office as fingers start pointing. The order is clear, leave now and don't look back. But our blonde beauty isn't backing down from this confrontation. She knows her worth, and the high salary she's being offered is far more important than a petty grudge. This sends the other woman into a total rage, threatening to quit if she doesn't get her way. She storms off, refusing to breathe the same air as someone so beneath her. Jiang Sui just watches her go, taunting her for being a complete deserter. She sits back, totally indifferent to the chaos she just stirred up. The confrontation turns physical when she gets her cheeks pinched in a moment of pure savagery. The argument reaches a boiling point as they shout about who actually built this department. Kang Lan is determined to see just how long this Miss Jiang can last in her territory. She's no longer the pushover she used to be, and she's ready to play dirty. But Jiang Sui just leans into the evil tricks, acting extra cute just to annoy her. She even stops to smell her hand cream, completely unbothered. She's living her best life surrounded by flowers and spite. She makes a playful exit, leaving her rival fuming in the office. Kang Lan is left behind, clutching her desk and swearing that Jiang Sui is a dead woman. As night falls, our poor heroine is stuck working overtime while everyone else is out having fun. She's regretting every second of the afternoon gossip session that led to this. To make matters worse, her coworkers are dumping even more urgent tasks on her desk. She drags herself to the utility room, just wishing she could go home and wash her hair. But disaster strikes when someone kicks the door wedge away. The door slams shut with a terrifying bang. She realizes with a jolt of panic that she's trapped inside. She desperately tries to open it, but it won't budge. The lock is broken and she's stuck in the dark. She shakes the handle with everything she's got, but it's useless. She starts to tremble as the silence of the empty office sets in. She bangs on the door, screaming for anyone to hear her. But the hallway is deathly silent. She realizes that everyone has already left for the night. Sliding to the floor, the darkness brings back memories she tried to bury. Flashbacks of a cold mother who chose work over her child start to flood her mind. She remembers the arguments about sacrifice and career. The feeling of being locked away and forgotten is all too familiar. She remembers the bullying at school, the kids who locked her up just to teach her a lesson. They called her dumb and said no one cared about her. She was always the invisible girl. The shadows of her past are closing in. She breaks down in tears, feeling like that abandoned child all over again. The trauma is overwhelming, a sea of voices telling her she's all alone. She's drowning in the annoyance of a world that doesn't want her. Suddenly, Su Gui's voice breaks through the darkness over the phone. Our girl can barely speak through her sobs, explaining she's trapped. Su Gui is immediately on high alert, demanding to know why she's still there. She drops everything at dinner and rushes to the company as fast as she can. Inside the room, the walls are closing in with every beep of the phone. The trauma response is in full swing and she's losing her grip. The words "no one cares" are screaming in her head. She feels like she's disappearing into the dark. The annoyance of her existence is all she can feel. She's convinced that really truly no one loves her. She's just a ghost in a utility room. She curls into a ball, surrendering to the despair. It's a dark, lonely world. Then a shout echoes through the building. She looks up, eyes wide with a flicker of hope. The door swings open, and Su Gui is standing there like a literal angel of mercy. She's breathless and terrified for our girl. Seeing her hero, the heroine finally lets the tears flow. Su Gui pulls her into a massive, protective hug. She whispers that she's found her and that everything is going to be okay. For the first time in her life, she feels like she's not alone. Su Gui scolds her for scaring her to death, but she's just glad she's safe. They make their way through the dark parking garage, sticking close together. Su Gui can't believe she missed the broken lock sign, but she's just focused on getting her home. Our girl is still shaken and begs not to be left alone tonight. She asks if she can go home with Su Gui, her eyes full of vulnerability. Su Gui agrees instantly, promising to stay with her. They arrive at the apartment complex, the night finally feeling peaceful. Su Gui offers her pajamas and tells her to get some rest. As they settle into the bedroom, the fear finally starts to fade. Tucked under the covers, she realizes she's safe in Su Gui's arms. They lay there in the quiet, the bond between them growing stronger by the second. The tension shifts from trauma to something much deeper as they lean in close. In a moment of pure chaotic romance, they finally share a soft, meaningful kiss. Our poor heroine is having a total internal meltdown because she actually crossed the line and kissed her GAE while she was sleeping. As the morning light starts to peek through the room, she's stuck in a loop of panic. She hovers over the sleeping beauty, wondering if Su Gui felt a thing. She's terrified that if Su Gui wakes up, she'll realize her sweet little sister is actually a secret predator. The thought of Su Gui looking at her with pure disgust makes her want to evaporate on the spot. She knows she should move, but her body just won't listen to her brain. In her head, she can already hear the rejection, imagining Su Gui telling her how revolting she is. She wanted to stay by her side forever as a sister, but she just ruined everything with one impulsive move. The guilt finally wins, and our girl starts sobbing like her heart is breaking in two. Her tears start dripping right on Su Gui's face, which is definitely one way to wake someone up. Su Gui blinks her eyes open, totally confused why there's a localized rainstorm in her bedroom. She immediately pulls Yang into a hug, thinking her little sister is just having another nightmare. She starts patting her back, being the perfect, caring GAE, which only makes Yang feel 10 times more guilty. Su Gui even jokes about how she's gaining so much experience, coaxing her that she'll be a perfect mother one day. She tells her to stop living in the painful memories of the past. She promises that as a working adult now, Yang never has to be alone again. She rubs her head so tenderly that Yang can't help but lean into the touch. She tells her it's time to move forward and leave the fear behind. Blushing like crazy, Yang asks the big question, will Su Gui ever leave her? Su Gui gets serious, noting that forever is a massive commitment to make. But for now, she promises to always be there whenever she's needed. To lighten the mood, Su Gui starts giving her playful noogies, telling her that crying herself to sleep will turn her into a psychopath. Cut to the next morning and the vibes are definitely weird. While driving, Su Gui mentions she has a sudden, intense craving for jelly. Our girl tries to play it cool, but then Su Gui drops a bombshell. She feels like she ate something soft and moist last night. She stares at her own lips in the mirror, wondering if it was a dream or reality. Yang is sweating bullets, looking like she's about to jump out of the moving car. Thankfully, a green light and some angry honking save her from an immediate confession. Yang can't help but touch her own lips, remembering how desperate she felt for Su Gui's warmth. They finally arrive at the office, where Su Gui warns her not to work past 8 because she doesn't want her losing years off her life. Yang gets super superstitious, demanding they knock on wood 3 times to avoid the curse. Su Gui finds it adorable and joins in on the silliness. Suddenly, a wild Jiang Sui appears at the car window, acting like she's been looking for them forever. It's an awkward 3-way encounter as Jiang Sui realizes Su Gui is the one dropping Yang off. She starts teasing them immediately, asking what their real relationship is. Su Gui keeps it professional, telling the nosy girl to get to work while promising to grab a drink with her later. As Su Gui drives off, Jiang Sui watches with a predatory grin. She calls Yang Xiao Gua and notes how much she seems to like her boss. Back in the office, the gossip is already flowing. Jiang Sui drags our girl inside, acting like they're besties already. She admits that Su Gui is beautiful and capable, but claims she's a total nightmare to work for. She tells a story about how Su Gui tortured her back in the day until she wanted to go to her house with a knife. Yang is barely listening, her brain still stuck on the lovers category. Jiang Sui mentions that Su Gui actually talks about Yang all the time, calling her cute and considerate. Our girl's heart skips a beat, but Jiang Sui is more interested in the office drama. They run into the stern-looking Kang Lan in a narrow hallway, and the tension is thick enough to cut. Jiang Sui greets her with a fake sweet smile, looking like a total savage. The two older women clearly have a history, and Yang Yang just wants to crawl into a hole. Jiang Sui decides to annoy Kang Lan by asking for a tour of the office. Once they're alone, Yang Yang's co-worker starts teasing her about getting all the tea without her. She warns Yang Yang that Kang Lan has a very specific style and might give her a hard time if she's not careful. Yang Yang tries to focus on work, but her fingers are frozen on the keyboard. She realizes she was way too impulsive last night, but she can't regret it. She's just too afraid of being alone again. She remembers the feeling of the kiss, blushing all over again. She realizes that Su Gui's jelly craving was definitely because of her. She slaps herself, feeling like a total creep for taking advantage of her GAE. But then she remembers Su Gui's promise to always be there. She decides she wants more than just a sisterly bond. She pulls out her phone to text her military advisor for some beauty tips. She learns that fashion and makeup are a literal science when it comes to dating. She's determined to look stunning and move beyond the little sister's zone. After a long meeting, Yang Yang volunteers to walk Su Gui to the elevator, feeling extra bold. Su Gui teases her, noting she's not being shy for once. Yang Yang asks about the drama between Jiang Sui and Kang Lan, worried they don't get along. Su Gui decides to mess with her, telling her Kang Lan is a petty person who will make her life a living hell. Yang Yang looks like she's about to faint, but Su Gui bursts out laughing, revealing she's just kidding. She says their relationship is complicated, but they are normal people. Yang Yang asks if they were a couple, and Su Gui drops the ultimate truth bomb. Jiang Sui's orientation is very obvious, as Su Gui looks at her with that stunning, knowing gaze. Yang Yang is left wondering if she's the only one who didn't get the memo. She mentions having plenty of queer friends, so there's absolutely no judgment here. Yang is a stuttering, blushing mess, but she gathers her courage to ask Sui out for a thank you meal. Sui gives her a gentle touch on the shoulder and agrees to meet up over the weekend. As Sui steps into the elevator, she gives a sweet wave that leaves our girl in a total trance. Yang is literally floating on a cloud of pink happiness, sprinting down the hallway like she just won the lottery. Back at her desk, she's already spiraling about her date outfit and makeup. But in her chaotic rush to leave, her wallet falls right out of her bag without her noticing. Her nosy colleague Xiao Lan catches her rushing out and stares in confusion at the sudden exit. She picks up the dropped item to find the owner and quickly realizes it belongs to Yang. When she goes to return it to the empty desk, her curiosity gets the better of her. She finds a photo inside of Yang and Sui looking suspiciously cozy. Xiao Lan's gossip senses are officially tingling. She starts piecing together all of Yang's flustered behavior lately and realizes something major is going on. She's giggling like a villain at her desk until her boss catches her sneaking around. Xiao Lan quickly hides the evidence and immediately drags her boss into the drama. She bluntly asks if Yang is like her, meaning is she a lesbian too? She gets right in her boss's face with the question, but the boss is not having it and tells her she's insane. The boss storms off, calling her a damn homo in a fit of rage. Xiao Lan just teases her back with a smirk, even though she clearly got a literal handprint on her face for her trouble. Unfazed by the slap, she hops on her phone to stir the pot and sends a mysterious message. Meanwhile, our girl Yang is looking absolutely stunning in her beret, waiting at the restaurant. Her phone dings, and Sui is finally checking her messages on the way. Sui looks like a total girl boss today, but it seems there's been a delay. Poor Yang is left waiting alone, looking a bit dejected and lonely. To make matters worse, she gets a text from her mom sending money and pressuring her about her future. Yang clearly hates family drama and stares at the screen, not even wanting to reply. Suddenly, Sui bursts in, apologizing profusely for the traffic. She's breathless and feels terrible for making Yang wait for 40 minutes. Yang is immediately dazzled, telling Sui she looks breathtakingly beautiful today. Our girl admits she spent all night practicing her makeup just for this meeting. She's treating this like a real, formal date, and she isn't hiding it. Sui starts venting about a stupid male colleague who won't take a hint. He's been harassing her to attend a dinner party despite her multiple rejections. Yang's inner protective savage comes out as she listens. She tells Sui she has a way that might actually help her out. Yang suggests that Sui should just tell everyone she's a lesbian and that she likes girls. Sui is stunned into total silence by the bold suggestion. Yang doesn't stop there, offering herself up to be Sui's shield, since no one at the company knows her anyway. Sui awkwardly agrees to the plan, though she seems a bit overwhelmed. They head out to the lively night market and start browsing through accessories. Sui looks elegant even while just trying on a simple pair of silver earrings. Yang can't help but look respectfully, her heart doing backflips just by being near her. She sneaks a candid photo of Sui because the view is just too pretty to ignore. Sui catches her in the act and playfully demands to see the phone to check for ugly pics. But instead of being mad, Sui pulls her in close for a real photo together. Sui flashes a charming smile, and they snap a cute selfie. Yang is glowing with pure joy. This photo is definitely going to be her most prized possession. As the night ends back at Yang's apartment, Sui watches her run off toward the building with a massive, happy smile. Back in her car, Sui looks over the photos they took. She starts overthinking, why was Yang's very first instinct to suggest the lesbian excuse? She decides to call her friend Jiang Sui to get an expert opinion on the matter. She asks the million-dollar question, how can you actually tell if someone is a lesbian? Our poor oblivious Sui is finally starting to catch on to the truth. Back at the bar, the atmosphere is thick with more than just expensive cocktails. A resident chaos maker is already diving deep into the drama, asking if Su Gui is curious about her sweet little Mei Mei. Su Gui looks like she's about to choke on her drink, but her friend isn't backing down. She claims it's all thanks to her lesbian intuition. And if Su Gui wants the tea, she's going to have to do some favors first. Honestly, the audacity of this girl is unmatched. She knows she can just use her charm to get whatever she wants. But she finally gets back to the point that actually matters. Apparently, she found a certain someone's wallet at the office, and inside was a perfectly preserved photo of the two of them. Su Gui tries to play it cool, saying it's normal for old friends to keep photos. But her friend isn't buying the just friends excuse for a second. Su Gui stares into her drink, probably wishing she could disappear into the ice cubes. Her friend doubles down, telling her she's looking at the situation with totally impure eyes. Su Gui insists that Yang just likes her as an older sister. But her friend is ready to drop a truth bomb that's going to shake our girl to her core. She's not talking about sisterly love, she's talking about the erotic kind of love. Su Gui's brain officially short-circuits. She tries to dismiss it as absolute nonsense, but the serious look on her friend's face says otherwise. Now Su Gui is spiraling, replaying every moment with Yang in a completely new light. Her friend asks the ultimate question, is she really sure she's straight? The silence at the bar is deafening as the realizations start to sink in. Fast forward to the work week where the grind never stops. Su Gui is buried under a mountain of work at her desk. Reports and drafts are flying at her from every direction. It's only Wednesday and she's already feeling the soul-crushing pressure. Our poor heroine is reaching her limit, clutching her head in frustration. Her assistant Xiao Chen swoops in with some rose tea to save the day. They start reviewing the latest advertisement drafts. Xiao Chen mentions that the liaison for the project seemed to have stars in her eyes every time she saw Su Gui. Su Gui realizes that maybe she's been a little too blind to the people falling for her. Suddenly, her phone buzzes with a message from Yang. The girl is asking to borrow Su Gui's kitchen to try out a new dish. Su Gui stares at the screen, her heart probably doing a little gymnastics routine. She starts typing the most dangerous question ever, do you like girls? But she stops herself, her fingers hovering over the screen in total hesitation. Back in reality, the text messages are much more professional. Over at her own desk, Yang is blushing like crazy and humming a happy tune. She's already daydreaming about their weekend plans, surrounded by imaginary flowers. But then the bubble bursts. Su Gui sends a reply saying she has to work overtime. Yang's face drops instantly, the disappointment hitting her hard. Su Gui isn't feeling great about it either, staring at her phone with a heavy heart. She worries that she's made the poor girl unhappy. She's caught between her feelings and the fear of what this all means. She tries to convince herself they are just Ga and Mei Mei. A pure sisterly relationship? Yeah, keep telling yourself that, honey. We find Kang Lan at a convenience store looking absolutely exhausted. She's dealing with some truly incompetent proposals and she is not happy. Her phone is blowing up with her own savage replies to her team. She's basically telling them to find a new career if they can't do better. Suddenly, Jiang Sui appears out of nowhere, complimenting her creative insults. Kang Lan nearly chokes on her dinner, looking like she's seen a ghost. She immediately starts yelling at the girl for following her around like a stalker. Jiang Sui just leans into it, asking if Kang Lan wants to be her owner. She launches a full-blown succubus attack with those puppy dog eyes. She promises to be a good girl if she can just work on Su Gui's project. But Kang Lan hasn't forgotten the past, reminding her of the time she stole an internship. Her gaze is icy as she lays down the law. She turns her back and walks away without a second glance. Jiang Sui is left standing in the middle of the street, looking surprisingly affected. But then the crazy comes back out. She thinks Kang Lan looks beautiful even when she's cursing her out. She literally starts praying for a way to atone for her sins. She realizes that winning back Kang Lan's trust is going to be the hardest mission of her life. She's finally feeling the weight of her past mistakes. That intern position wasn't worth the bridge she burned. The shoot is in full swing and everyone is staying busy. Kang Lan brings Su Gui an iced Americano, noticing she looks a bit haggard. They discuss how smoothly the commercial is going. Kang Lan mentions that Xiao Lu has been a total rock star during the final stages. And apparently the coffee was actually Xiao Lu's idea. Su Gui smiles, touched by the girl's constant consideration. Kang Lan calls Xiao Lu over to the group. She delivers the best news ever. She wants to make her a permanent employee. Xiao Lu is glowing with happiness, but Su Gui looks incredibly awkward. Once Kang Lan leaves them to chat, the tension returns. They sit down together and Su Gui thanks her for the caffeine boost. Xiao Lu pulls a little closer, her expression turning nervous. She asks if she's done something wrong lately. She's clearly been feeling the distance Su Gui has been putting between them. Su Gui tries to brush it off, making excuses about being busy. But the atmosphere is heavy with everything they aren't saying. Finally, Su Gui decides she can't run anymore. She asks the question that's been burning a hole in her brain. Do you have a picture of us in your wallet? Xiao Lu looks caught, her face heating up instantly. And then Su Gui goes for the kill. Do you like girls? Do you like me? Lu Yang is sweating bullets as she's caught red-handed in the middle of her feelings. The tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife as the two face off. Our poor heroine's world starts to crumble when she's told to follow for private chat. Her GA looks absolutely savage with that cold, disappointed stare. They rush into the stairwell to have it out away from prying eyes. The silence in the room is deafening as Lu Yang trembles, waiting for the axe to fall. Our girl is convinced her heart is about to stop beating from the sheer anxiety. Her GA's expression is a heartbreaking mix of pain and pure shock. The waterworks finally start as Lu Yang realizes there's no hiding her secret anymore. She's spiraling, certain that she's just lost the most important person in her life forever. The air between them is heavy with unspoken words and broken expectations. Lu Yang can barely stand on her own 2 feet, her tears flowing freely. But instead of explosive anger, the older woman looks completely torn apart by the confession. The comforting gardenia scent of her presence used to be a sanctuary, but now it feels like a final goodbye. Every gentle touch now feels like a bittersweet final memory. Our heroine feels utterly helpless, drowning in a sea of her own chaotic emotions. But then a bombshell drops. Jie claims there's nothing wrong with her liking women. The catch is that she thinks Lu Yang is just confused and dependent because they've spent so much time together. She hands over tissues like it's a cold business transaction and tells her to take the rest of the day off. As the door shuts, our poor girl finally lets out a soul-crushing sob. She's left alone in the shadows, her heart shattering into a million pieces. Outside, Jie stands frozen, hearing the heart-wrenching cries of the girl she basically raised. The sunset over the city reflects the fire burning in her own mind. She's immediately back to her old habits, lighting up a cigarette to try and numb the chaos. Her friend arrives and immediately calls her out on the toxic, moody vibes. The friend is basically a little devil, poking fun at the complicated mess they've landed. She points out that GA is a natural magnet for anyone looking for a sisterly figure to lean on. GA starts spiraling through memories of every single thing she ever did for Lu Yang. She thought they were just close family, but the line was crossed years ago without her even noticing. Now she's wondering if Lu Yang's distance during college was actually a desperate act of self-preservation. Her friend tells her to stop overthinking it, but the damage to her psyche is already done. Meanwhile, Lu Yang drags her exhausted, broken self back to her apartment. She looks like a literal zombie when she finally manages to get through the front door. Her roommate is absolutely horrified, claiming she looks more like a corpse than a living human. Lu Yang drops the final blow and admits she was officially rejected by her crush. The roommate goes into full interrogation mode, dying to know who this mystery girl could be. When Lu Yang confirms it's her beloved GAE, the roommate nearly chokes on her own drink. Back across town, the older woman is staring at the ceiling, haunted by the memory of Lu Yang's tearful eyes. She starts replaying every moment she might have accidentally led the poor girl on. From the expensive gifts to the constant protection, she realizes she was acting like the perfect partner. She even rescued her from a dark storage room, playing the hero when Lu Yang was at her most vulnerable. It hits her that she's a victim of the suspension bridge effect. She made Lu Yang fall for the thrill of being saved. Flashback to 6 years ago when life was much simpler and the stakes weren't so high. GAE was a total head-turner even back then, rocking a red top and major main character energy. She finds Lu Yang working a secret part-time job at a milk tea shop during summer break. Our girl was trying so hard to be independent, but she's caught red-handed immediately. GAE decides to stick around and tease her just to see her reaction. Lu Yang's flustered smile was the brightest thing in that entire crowded shop. The woman was low-key obsessed even then, snapping photos of how cute our girl looked in her little uniform. But when a male coworker tries to get too close, her protective jealousy flares up instantly. She swoops in like a lioness, quietly warning Lu Yang that adolescent boys are nothing but trouble. She whispers the warning right against her ear, causing our girl to turn 50 shades of red. She caps the moment off with a playful head pat, completely unaware of the fire she's starting. Even the necklace she's wearing right now was a birthday gift Lu Yang bought with her own hard-earned money. Now she's left in the dark with nothing but a cigarette and a mountain of regret. The night drags on as she realizes she might have accidentally broken the one heart she promised to protect. It's always been her, but our poor heroine is stuck in the friend zone with no exit in sight. Her bestie is being brutally honest, telling her that moping around won't change the fact that she was rejected. Jimiao clings to her friend's bag, begging for a little bit of comfort, but her friend is serving straight facts instead of sympathy. The pain in her eyes is real as she realizes years of pining might have been for nothing. The friend sits her down, basically asking if she really knows who she's dealing with. Jimiao just wants to know how to even look at her crush now. She's terrified that if she doesn't hide, she won't be able to handle the awkwardness. That's when the savage advice comes in. It's time to play hard to get. Seeing our girl so defeated is honestly heartbreaking, but a change in tactics might be the only way to survive. After all, the GA hasn't stopped messaging her, which means she's not ready to let go completely. This is the chance to finally peek into her true thoughts. And if this plan fails, well, then it's time to change the strategy entirely. There's no more hiding for anyone now. Cut to the office where the latest project is a massive hit, and everyone is celebrating the win. Misu is playing the generous leader, treating the whole team to afternoon tea. But while everyone else is thanking her, Jimiao is stuck in her own head. She notices the order is specifically lemon mousse and mint milk tea, her absolute favorites. Is it just a habit, or is Su Gui actually paying attention to her? She reaches for a drink, the tension in the air thick enough to cut with a knife. Su Gui is definitely watching her, and the vibes are beyond chaotic. Jimiao tries to keep it together, wondering if there's a hidden meaning behind the sugar. The team starts planning a massive celebration, including dinner and an escape room. Zhao Yao is already hyped, claiming she deserves this after all the hard labor. Suddenly, a wild Jiang Sui appears, insisting on joining the party. She and Su Gui seem way too close for comfort, making Jimiao's heart sink even further. Su Gui tries to play the professional client, saying she shouldn't attend a team-building event. Jimiao looks like she's about to crumble, but she stays silent. Our girl is so hurt she decides to bail on the whole thing, making excuses about a roommate visiting. But the team isn't letting her off that easy, suggesting they move the party to Friday night instead. Zhao Yao goes full puppy dog eyes, begging her not to leave her alone with the bosses. Su Gui finally gives in, agreeing to the Friday plan and looking right at our heroine. She even promises to pay for everyone, which has the team cheering. Zhao Yao is winning at life right now, while Jimiao is just trying to breathe. The transition to evening is gorgeous, but the mood is anything but peaceful. Walking down the hall, the silence between our two leads is deafening. Su Gui looks like she wants to say something, but the words won't come. Jimiao decides to go full Misu mode, dropping the friendly honorifics for a cold, professional tone. Su Gui looks like she just got slapped, the distance between them growing by the second. Jimiao repeats the formal title, making it clear that GAE is officially off limits. She promises to control her emotions like a pro from now on. She puts on a brave face, claiming she's smart enough to handle this. But as she walks away, her hands are shaking as she grips her sleeve. Su Gui stands there as the elevator doors close, feeling the weight of her own mistakes. She watches our girl leave, looking absolutely miserable. The floor numbers tick down, but her mood only gets heavier. She realized she made Jimiao sad while forcing her to pretend nothing happened. Is this really what she wanted? Friday arrives, and the team-building chaos is officially in full swing. Zhao Yao is checking horoscopes, and the news for Pisces isn't great. Romantic luck is at an all-time low. But hey, at least a turning point is coming, right? They arrive at the restaurant where the bosses are already waiting. Zhao Yao announces their arrival with zero chill. Jimiao greets Su Gui with that same cold, professional smile. During dinner, Jiang Sui leans in, whispering the hard truth that Jimiao doesn't want her anymore. Su Gui tries to defend herself, saying she just wanted to be friends like before. But Jiang Sui calls her out for being selfish, pushing Jimiao away only to pull her back when it's convenient. Su Gui is left speechless, her eloquent mask finally slipping. Zhao Yao is still in her own world, taking pictures while the drama explodes next to her. Jiang Sui doesn't hold back, pointing out how cruel it is to make Jimiao watch her date others. Su Gui looks like she's about to cry into her tea. She can't even think of anything to say back. She stares into her glass, realizing her friend is right. She never even considered dating Jimiao, so she has no right to be unhappy when she tries to leave. Jimiao is free to do what she wants, whether that's being close or staying distant. Su Gui finally admits it, she's been incredibly selfish. Jiang Sui asks what she really thinks of our heroine, but Su Gui has no answer. Jimiao gets a text from Su Gui, offering her an out if she's too scared to go in. But our girl is determined to stay strong, replying with a cold thank you. They step into the Chinese horror-themed room, and it looks like a total nightmare. Everyone is shaking in their boots, and the warning about people getting separated has them on edge. Jimiao is trembling so hard her face has gone completely pale. Su Gui notices immediately, her protective instincts kicking in. Zhao Yao points it out to the group, but our girl is stuck in a house of horrors with the person she's trying most to forget. Suddenly, the group is thrust into a literal nightmare, and the screaming starts immediately. Our poor heroine is shaking so hard her boots are practically vibrating off her feet. She's desperately chanting that Chinese people don't scare Chinese people, but let's be real, she's 1 second away from a total meltdown. She clings to her friend's hoodie like it's a lifeline in a stormy sea. Everywhere they look, there are chains and skeletons just waiting to ruin their night. Su Gui watches her, clearly worried that our girl is going to have another utility room-style breakdown. Of course, there's always that one friend who thinks teasing the NPCs is a great idea. But the more they laugh, the more our heroine wants to vanish into thin air. And then it happens, a massive jump scare that sends her soul flying out of her body. She's screeching at the top of her lungs, begging the ghost to stay away. Luckily, Su Gui is right there to catch her before she hits the floor. She holds our girl tight, trying to snap her out of her terror. But the game isn't done with them yet, and a notification pops up for a dreaded single-player quest. To everyone's horror, the little coward of the group is the one chosen for the solo mission. Su Gui tries to step in and stop it, refusing to let her go alone. But the staff pulls her back. The rules are strict, and Su Gui is forced to stay behind while her girl is led into the darkness. Their hands slip apart in a moment that is pure, unadulterated drama. Our girl looks back one last time, looking like a lost puppy. Su Gui can only watch, her heart clearly breaking. The solo room is a creepy, blood-red bridal chamber that looks like the set of a low-budget horror movie. The instructions are simple: sit on the bed and cover your head with a red veil. She tries to convince herself it's all fake, but her hands are still trembling as she hides her face. She's literally shaking like a massage gun under that fabric. Tears are streaming down her face as she prays for the next 5 minutes to end. An electronic candle flickers as a deep voice begins to narrate a tragic tale of a merchant's daughter. It's a classic story of star-crossed lovers and a wedding banquet turned into a massacre. The groom was killed and returned as a vengeful ghost to claim his bride. Our girl is paralyzed with fear as a dark silhouette approaches. The ghost groom is here for his revenge. He claims that the house is haunted and no one can ever leave. The only way to break the curse is to marry the one you love. The silhouette looms over her in the dark. Yang, is that you? He asks, and she can only nod in terror. She's sweating bullets, waiting for the worst. The ghost touches her head, claiming he killed everyone just so they could be alone. He tells her not to be afraid because he promised to marry her. She's a sobbing mess, closing her eyes and waiting for the end. But then a familiar voice whispers that she's become much braver. She opens her eyes in shock. It's not a ghost, it's Su Gui. She somehow managed to sneak into the single-player plot. Our girl is completely stunned, her eyes welling up with fresh tears. She demands to know how Su Gui even got in here. Su Gui just leans in close, admitting that even if our girl doesn't want her to care, she still does. Lu Yang is secretly thrilled, counting this as her first major victory over her rival. But Su Gui insists they finish the ritual by drinking from the marriage cup. They lock eyes in the red glow, and the tension is absolutely electric. The game prompts them to cooperate, and Su Gui sits down casually like she owns the place. They link arms and drink the wine together in a moment that feels way too real for a game. Su Gui tells her not to be afraid. Our heroine tries to act cool, saying she won't think too much about it. But Su Gui's gaze is so intense it's hard to breathe. They finish the cup. Lu Yang's inner monologue is a total mess right now. The ceremony is officially complete. And then the red curtains fall, trapping them together in the bridal chamber. Su Gui asks if she really would have done this with a random NPC if she hadn't stepped in. The darkness between them is heavy with things left unsaid. It's a moment of pure, suffocating intimacy. Su Gui is driving our girl home through the quiet city streets. Our girl pulls out her phone and texts her friend that she literally got married tonight. She keeps sneaking glances at Su Gui, who has been dead silent since they left the game. The air in the car is awkward enough to choke a horse. Suddenly, the rain starts to drip against the glass. It quickly turns into a full-blown downpour. The city lights blur as the rain lashes against the car. Our girl stares out the window, noticing how gloomy everything has become. The car comes to a stop in front of her place. Su Gui finally breaks the silence, calling her out for sneaking glances the entire time. Our girl looks away, feeling totally exposed. The rain is screaming outside. Su Gui looks her dead in the eye and tells her to stop pretending to be so strong. She accuses our girl of forcing herself to do things she clearly can't handle. Our heroine is stung, her eyes wide with hurt. She asks if Su Gui thinks she isn't trying hard enough. She finally reaches for the door handle, ready to escape the lecture. She steps out into the freezing rain, thanking Su Gui for the ride while looking totally defeated. Su Gui watches her go, her expression unreadable behind the rain-streaked window. The car sits there for a moment in the dark, and just like that, the distance between them feels miles wider than before. But the rain eventually washes away the joy, leaving her to trudge up the stairs of her apartment alone. She's caught in a mental tug-of-war, wanting to stay close while desperately trying to keep her distance. She stops right outside the door, her heart heavy with words she can't seem to say. Su Gui looks absolutely devastated, questioning what on earth is going on in her own head. She lingers there for a long time, the weight of her choices pressing down on her. Meanwhile, the tension in this car is thick enough to cut with a knife, as fingers drum impatiently on the wheel. Xiao Lan announces their arrival, but she's clearly fishing for more than just a thank you. Jiang Sui, ever the savage, just casually asks how much the fare is. Xiao Lan flashes a charming smile, basically telling her that if she wants to pay, she'll have to find a creative way to do it. She leans in dangerously close, practically suffocating her with that kind-hearted energy. Jiang Sui doesn't even flinch, keeping that mysterious, gentle look on her face. Xiao Lan tries to be romantic, claiming she can hear a certain someone's heartbeat. But Jiang Sui isn't buying the drama, looking more unimpressed than a cat in a bathtub. She hops out of the car with a parting shot, threatening to leave a one-star review for the driver. Xiao Lan is left sitting there, completely stunned by the audacity. She watches her walk away, her brain short-circuiting from the sheer chaos of it all. Then the blush hits like a freight train, and our girl is a total goner. She's hiding her face, completely overwhelmed by the encounter. She's literally screaming into her hands, wondering how someone can be so nasty and yet so lovable at the same time. But hey, at least she got her $500 for the ride. Fast forward to Tuesday afternoon, and the office vibes are predictably depressing. Now that the project is over, Yang feels like the last thread connecting her to Su Gui has been snapped. She's replaying her impulsive words over and over, regretting every single one of them. She stands by the door, feeling like a shadow of her former self. She's replaying the distance between them, feeling the coldness of the silence. She can't stop thinking about how nice Su Gui was, even after finding out the truth. Maybe she really is just too soft-hearted for her own good. Yang is drowning in guilt, feeling like she completely took advantage of that kindness to force her own needs. She looks like a kicked puppy, convinced she's the most selfish person alive. She eventually just collapses on the floor, wishing she could just undo the last few days. She's at rock bottom, curled up in a ball of regret. She's left wondering if she should have just let it go from the start. But then a sudden ding breaks the silence in the hallway. It's a call from Su Gui's mother. Auntie Lin, and Yang picks up with a trembling hand. The look on her face says this is definitely not a social call, and things are about to get even more chaotic. Our poor heroine is stuck in bed, battling a nasty cough that just won't quit. She wonders if this persistent low-grade fever is actually the flu. Her face is flushed bright red as she scrolls through her phone, desperately searching for some kind of miracle medicine. She's totally out of it, even getting distracted by random pop-up ads for escape rooms on her screen. But as she lies there, her mind drifts back to that intense moment with Yang. She remembers the feeling of that hug and how she couldn't help but feel a surge of protectiveness. Yang looked so small and pitiful when she was scared, like a lost puppy that needed to be saved. Those big teary eyes are etched into our girl's memory, making her heart do backflips. She can't help but swoon over how cute Yang is, no matter what she's doing. Even while she's sick and miserable, she finds herself smiling at the thought of her favorite girl. Why is she always thinking about how adorable Yang is? To our heroine, Yang is the cutest person on the planet, whether she's crying her eyes out or flashing a bright smile. Even when she's losing her temper, she's still absolutely precious. It's honestly a savage attack on her heart. She's so thirsty for Yang's company that she can barely stand it, even in her weakened state. She remembers standing outside Yang's door recently, too afraid to knock because she didn't know what to say. She feels like she's failing a test where every answer she gives is wrong. Suddenly, the doorbell rings through her quiet apartment. She drags herself out of bed, thinking it's just the medicine she ordered online. But when she opens the door, her jaw drops. It's Yang, looking absolutely worried and holding a container of hot porridge. Our girl immediately backs up, panicked that she might infect her. Yang explains that her mom sent her over because she was worried. She asks if she can come in, and our girl quickly reaches for a mask so they can stay safe. Yang wasted no time setting everything up on the table. Our girl tries to apologize for being cold, but Yang just brushes it off while rummaging through her bag. She's brought every kind of medicine imaginable, showing just how much she truly cares. Yang is acting like a total pro, pouring hot water and checking every detail. She even remembered our girl's favorite type of porridge and brought all the right side dishes. It's a shock to see how independent Yang has become over the years. She's not the little girl who needs constant protection anymore. Now she's the one doing the protecting. Our heroine looks down, feeling a strange mix of emotions swirling in her chest. She's always seen herself as the one who needed to provide care, but the tables have completely turned. She quietly thanks Yang for everything. Yang mentions she took leave from work just to be here, leading to a thick, awkward silence. The tension in the room is so heavy you could cut it with a knife. Yang sets the medicine down and finally breaks the silence. She apologizes for making things so awkward with her recent confession. Our girl looks up, stunned by the sudden vulnerability. Yang tells her she doesn't have to accept her feelings just because of their history. She wants our girl to have the freedom to choose without any pressure or guilt. Since their project is over, she even offers to leave the company so they don't have to see each other. She forces a sad smile and says she'll just hide where she won't be a bother. As Yang turns to leave, our girl's heart clenches. She can't just let her walk away like this. She reaches out and grabs Yang's hand, stopping her in her tracks. She looks her in the eye and asks the one question she can't figure out, why do you like me? Yang Yang's mind floods with memories of their years together. She remembers the heroine being a constant, supportive friend during school. She remembers her being like a caring older sister who watched out for her. And she remembers her being like a mother figure, guiding her through life's little hurdles. Back in the present, they sit in silence, the weight of those years between them. Yang Yang remembers a night they spent lying in bed together, talking about their futures. Our girl had promised she could never hate her no matter what. That promise became a vortex that Yang Yang could never escape. Her feelings weren't just one moment, they were a collective change that built up over time. Yang Yang admits she can't explain it clearly because there are just too many reasons. All she knows is that she feels safe whenever she's by her side. Our heroine is floored by such a direct and honest confession. She realizes Yang Yang has been hiding these feelings for years, terrified of the fallout. Yang Yang offers to go back to being just friends if that's what makes her happy. But our girl is totally confused and asks for more time to process everything. She needs to figure out if what she feels is just gratitude, maternal attachment, or if it's finally true love. Our girl is stuck on a phone call, listening to someone lecture her about her non-existent love life. She's just trying to enjoy her meal in peace, but the person on the other end won't stop buzzing. Apparently, she's a master at playing hard to get, and her friend thinks she needs a lesson in romance. It's honestly exhausting being this admired. She tries to explain that she's being sincere, not playing games, but nobody is buying it. She sighs, realizing she really can't pull any tricks when it comes to her secret crush. Suddenly, her friend Zhao Yao sneaks up behind her with a savage grin. Our poor heroine nearly jumps out of her skin when the gossip starts flying. She's absolutely shocked by the sudden intrusion. She threatens to end Zhao Yao right then and there for the jump scare. But the gossip is actually juicy. Apparently, a rival named Kanglan Jai was just slammed by the higher-ups. And to make things even more chaotic, a new player named Jiang Sui was recruited just to mess with her. Zhao Yao is living for the drama, wondering if they're plotting a total takedown of the office queen. Meanwhile, the legendary Jiang Sui arrives home looking like a literal angel. She spots Zio Lan packing and decides it's the perfect time to be a total menace. She sneaks up and taps her on the shoulder, acting like they're besties. Zio Lan is not having it and tells her to get those paws off immediately. Jiang Sui just laughs it off and offers to share some fried rice. As they eat, Jiang Sui starts flirting aggressively, claiming they're destined to be together forever. Zio Lan's face is a mask of pure annoyance. She gets dead serious, reminding Jiang Sui that this living arrangement is strictly temporary. She insists she doesn't hate her the most, she just hates her, period. Jiang Sui doesn't believe a word of it and reaches out to touch her face. She squishes Zio Lan's cheek like a toy. Zio Lan turns a bright, chaotic shade of red from the proximity. She immediately retaliates by pinching Jiang Sui back, and the two start bickering like a married couple. Jiang Sui is such a tease, asking if Zio Lan wants to pinch other parts of her too. Our girl is so flustered she has to hide her face. She calls Jiang Sui a shameless brat, but Jiang Sui takes it as a total compliment. The mood shifts when Zio Lan warns her to keep this a secret. If anyone finds out they're living together, she's cutting ties for good. Jiang Sui gives a casual "I know," but the tension in the room is thick. Zio Lan looks suddenly vulnerable, her eyes reflecting a deep sadness. Jiang Sui notices the change in atmosphere and softens her gaze. She pulls Zio Lan into a sudden, tender hug that catches her completely off guard. It's a short-term truce between a landlord and her very difficult tenant. Later, Jiang Sui checks her phone and sees a money transfer for a taxi fare. It's from Zio Lan and the amount is way too much. She realizes Zio Lan left something behind in the car. It's a pack of tissues, a small but meaningful mistake. Jiang Sui hops out of the car, determined to return them. She breezes through the security gate with a mission. In the elevator, she's already delusional, thinking the tissues were a secret hint that Zio Lan wants her to stay. She's glowing with confidence, ready to play along with the game. But as she approaches the door, she hears a sharp, familiar voice. It's Kang Lan, and she sounds absolutely miserable. Jiang Sui watches from the shadows as a brutal family drama unfolds. Kang Lan is screaming at an older woman to leave and take her toxic energy elsewhere. It turns out the woman is her mother, who is desperately begging for money. The mother is defending a violent, alcoholic husband, making excuses for his behavior. She grabs Kang Lan's arm, trying to guilt-trip her into coming back. Kang Lan explodes, asking her mother when she's finally going to wake up from this nightmare. She points out the bruises and marks on her mother's neck, proving that the man hasn't changed at all. Our poor heroine is pushed to her breaking point, tears streaming down her face. Jiang Sui watches the heartbreak from the hallway, her heart sinking for her rival. Kang Lan delivers a final, cold reality check before turning away. She walks out, leaving her mother behind in the dark. She spots Jiang Sui hiding nearby and freezes. Jiang Sui doesn't let her run away and catches her arm. She uses the pack of tissues as a clumsy excuse for being there. They stare at each other in a heavy, painful silence. Jiang Sui gently hands the tissues over, her playful attitude completely gone. The air between them is charged with unspoken words. Back inside later, Jiang Sui carefully asks if the mother is still around. Xiao Lan's expression is hollow and tired. She tries to act like she doesn't care while she eats, but her hands are trembling. Jiang Sui pokes her hand, trying to bring her back to the present. She points out that Xiao Lan is actually way too kind-hearted for her own good. Xiao Lan admits that her mother knows exactly where the spare key is because she can't help but leave it for her. She explains how she's constantly manipulated by her mother's victim act. Suddenly, she realizes Jiang Sui knows way too much about her past. She accuses Jiang Sui of being a total stalker. Jiang Sui just leans in close, using her charm to deflect the tension. She warns Xiao Lan to be careful because it's way too easy to fall in love with her. Xiao Lan is stunned by the bold declaration. Suddenly, a sharp knock at the door breaks the moment. A mysterious woman stands outside looking for Jiang Sui. Our blonde girl is absolutely losing it because the mood is totally ruined by an unexpected guest. She tries to shoo her roommate away, but the bossy pink-haired Kang Lan isn't budging an inch. Suddenly, the door opens and in walks Su Gui, looking as elegant as ever, while our blonde friend tries to hide her panic. Kang Lan acts like she owns the place, inviting the guest in while the blonde girl fumes in the background. The tension on the couch is thick enough to cut with a knife as the ladies sit down for a chat. Su Gui immediately starts digging for tea, asking if Kang Lan has basically kidnapped her roommate. Kang Lan just brushes it off, claiming she's only staying there because of some urgent matters. But looking at that smug business smile, it's clear she's enjoying this little domestic setup way too much. We flash back to their heated argument outside, where Kang Lan was ready to throw hands over a rental contract. She was done playing house and demanded to be left alone, tired of the company rumors. But our blonde heroine knew exactly which buttons to push to get her way. Even though Kang Lan tried to act cold and distant while carrying her bags away, she couldn't handle the blonde's savage teasing about her looking like a she-devil. The blonde girl literally went for the kill, asking what would happen if she just begged for her to stay. With those puppy dog eyes, she made her move, promising to be a better competitor at work. And just like that, the workaholic Kang Lan was back in her element, sporting that terrifyingly perfect business smile. Back in the present, she heads out, leaving Su Gui to gossip about what a ruthless woman she is. Su Gui just brushes it off, acting like she's got everything under control. But deep down, she's actually there for a reason, winking at her friend while keeping her true thoughts hidden. She looks at the empty space where Kang Lan was, her mind clearly wandering. The two friends start joking around, but the conversation quickly turns to a more sensitive topic. Su Gui mentions her childhood sweetheart, Yang Yang, and how much the girl has changed lately. She looks up, lost in thought, as memories of the past start to bloom. She remembers seeing Yang Yang at work, questioning if the company's security is even doing its job. She had to step in and comfort the poor girl after a rough day. Giving her a gentle pat on the shoulder, Su Gui tried to be the supportive unnai she needed. But Yang Yang insisted she could handle it, showing a glimpse of her new, independent side. Even when dealing with office drama, Yang Yang didn't back down. Su Gui watched her from a distance, realizing the little girl she knew was long gone. She's become strong and independent like a flower growing in the wild. In meetings, Yang Yang is a total savage, slamming her hand down to defend her ideas. She demands data and logic, refusing to let anyone's personal preferences get in the way of her work. Su Gui is honestly mesmerized by this new version of her. It's like she's seeing a completely different person in a place she thought she knew. She walks through her own memories, trying to reconcile the past with the present. Because this girl isn't the naive, rebellious kid she remembers anymore. She sighs, feeling a bit out of touch with reality. Her blonde friend immediately calls her out, telling her to stop acting like some ancient elder. She points out that Su Gui is the one stuck in the past, while Yang Yang has moved on. Su Gui can only nod wildly, realizing her friend is hitting her with the cold, hard truth. The advice is simple: stop looking at her as a kid and start looking at her as a woman. Later, Su Gui sits in her car, her mind a chaotic mess of feelings she can't quite name. Meanwhile, poor Yang Yang is dealing with her own drama, ignoring annoying texts from her mom. She stares at her phone, feeling the weight of expectations pressing down on her. She tosses the phone aside in the bathroom, trying to wash away the stress. She's furious that her mother expects her to just be obedient after everything. But while she's brushing her teeth, the phone starts ringing off the hook. Her eyes light up like Christmas trees when she sees it's actually Su Gui calling. She nearly chokes on her toothpaste, spitting it out in a hurry to answer. She tries to sound cool and casual, but the blush on her face says otherwise. She's secretly hoping for a date, her heart doing backflips in her chest. But Su Gui just mentions that her mother called her to set up a dinner date. Yang Yang's mood does a complete 180, her heart sinking into her stomach. Su Gui can feel the awkwardness through the phone, looking totally exhausted. Yang Yang gets defensive, telling her she's hanging up if there's nothing else to say. She looks absolutely heartbroken, the rejection stinging more than she wants to admit. The call ends with a cold beep, leaving Su Gui staring at her phone in shock. Su Gui tries to laugh it off, but she's clearly bothered by how much temper the girl has. She flops onto her bed, feeling the weight of the misunderstanding. She lets out a long sigh, wondering where it all went wrong. Back at her place, Yang is a total mess, cuddling her pillow and drowning in regret. She's convinced Su Gui hates her now, and the tears start falling fast. She goes into full mental breakdown mode, screaming into her pillow like a chaotic queen. When the phone rings again, she's ready to explode at whoever is on the other side. She shouts at her friend Jimiao, who is just calling to see what's up. Jimiao invites her out to a new bar to drink her sorrows away, and Yang is all in. Cut to the bar where the empty bottles are piling up way too fast. A very drunk Yang starts bragging about an ad she made with her favorite sister. She looks absolutely miserable, her face flushed red from the alcohol. She shouts that she doesn't need love, right before taking another massive swing from the bottle. Her friend realizes she's far gone and decides it's time to end this pity party. But Yang's phone is dead, and she's barely standing as they try to call a taxi. She's stumbling around, crying about her miserable life while her friend struggles to hold her up. A car finally pulls up, and things are about to get real awkward. The door opens and Su Gui steps out, looking horrified at the state of her girl. Yang immediately leans in, sniffing Su Gui and recognizing her familiar perfume. Su Gui hauls her back to the apartment, her patience wearing thin at the night's chaos. She tries to get the drunk girl to sit still, but Yang is just flopping around. Through her tears, Yang looks up at her, looking like a kicked puppy. She grabs Su Gui in a desperate hug, begging her not to hate her. Su Gui's heart finally melts as she promises she doesn't hate her at all. Yang starts wailing, admitting she was lying earlier and that she's actually miserable without her. With tears streaming down her face, she drops the ultimate question, asking Su Gui if she can just try to like her a little bit. Waking up with a massive headache, our girl is definitely feeling the consequences of last night. She's desperately trying to piece together the blurry memories of what went down. But the more she thinks, the more her head throbs. Suddenly, a memory flashes back, a voice asking her to try and like them just a little bit. It was Su Gui leaning in close under the city lights. Every detail is fuzzy except for the intensity of that moment. Our heroine is losing her mind, trying to remember what she said in response. She's agonizing over the critical moment she completely blacked out on, and is torn between hiding forever or calling to find out the truth. Speak of the devil, her phone starts ringing with the one person she's terrified to talk to. Su Gui immediately asks if she's packed, catching her completely off guard. It turns out our girl didn't just confess, she apparently drunk called everyone in her contacts list. Total social suicide, she's ready to crawl into a hole and stay there forever. But then she realizes Su Gui is acting like something else happened that she also forgot. She tries to play it cool while Su Gui casually mentions a barbecue restaurant. Our poor heroine is freaking out because she has zero idea what's going on. Next thing she knows, she's sitting at a BBQ place, feeling like a fish out of water. The food looks amazing, but the tension at the table is thick enough to cut with a knife. Auntie Zhu is there, acting all motherly and sweet. But Lu Yang is sitting there like a ticking time bomb while Su Gui watches the chaos. Su Gui suggests lemonade to help her alcohol metabolism, clearly teasing her. Auntie Zhu thinks it's cute, but Lu Yang is not in the mood for any of it. Seeing her mother just makes her want to go into full-blown rebel mode. The awkward silence is only broken by Auntie Zhu's phone constantly buzzing. Even during a family meal, her mom is focused on business calls. That's the final straw for our girl, who looks absolutely done. She abruptly announces she's finished and gets up to leave. Su Gui isn't about to let her just storm off like that, and follows her outside, leaving the busy Auntie Zhu behind. Su Gui calls out to her, demanding she stop being so childish. She grabs her arm, telling her it's time to start behaving like an adult. Lu Yang snaps back, pointing out that her mom is the one who prioritized work over their dinner. Her voice cracks as she shouts that she didn't even want to see her in the first place. Su Gui looks at her with a mix of pity and frustration. She reminds her that she was the one who called to speak up for her mom yesterday. Lu Yang is stunned, realizing her drunk self was way too honest. Su Gui sighs, looking at the mess of emotions standing in front of her. She decides to drop the bomb. Yesterday you were asking me to try to like you. She leans in close, calling out Lu Yang for being so overbearing. Our girl turns a shade of red that rivals a beat. She tries to backtrack, claiming she was too drunk to remember a single thing. But Su Gui isn't letting her off the hook that easily and grabs her again. She smirks, asking if she really doesn't want to know what her answer was. The tension is skyrocketing as Lu Yang stares into those eyes. Su Gui suddenly plays a savage card, pretending she's forgotten her own answer. She tells Lu Yang that maybe she'll remember if she gets a little reminder. Our girl is backed into a corner, heart hammering against her ribs. Finally, she covers her face and screams out her confession again. Su Gui looks at her with such a soft, blushing expression it's almost illegal. She whispers that she wants to know exactly what was said. But then she immediately shifts gears, catching our girl off guard. She calls her out, noting that her memory seems pretty good for someone who was blacked out. Now it's time for the real rehash of last night's disasters. Apparently, our girl refused to even get out of the car when they got home. And then the ultimate horror, she threw up all over Su Gui the second the door opened. Every single detail of the rainbow puke incident is being laid bare. Liu Yang looks like she wants to dissolve into a puddle of shame. She's having a total mental breakdown, begging her to stop talking. Su Gui is clearly enjoying the bullying, looking smug as ever. Our poor heroine looks so pathetic that Su Gui's heart finally softens. She leans in and delivers the words she's been waiting for, "I can." Liu Yang is frozen, her brain completely short-circuiting. Su Gui repeats it clearly, her answer to the confession is a resounding yes. Our girl's soul has officially left her body from the shock. Su Gui looks at her with those sparkling, determined eyes. We flash back to Su Gui cleaning up, thinking about how much of a mess our girl is. She worried about her being hungover and alone in an empty house. Even while exhausted, she was searching for ways to help her sober up. She realized she was inexplicably mad at the situation. Being called out on a weekend to deal with a drunk girl isn't exactly fun. But as she looked in the mirror, the anger just vanished. She questioned if she was just a naturally tolerant person. Then she remembered Liu Yang's tearful, blushing face asking to be liked. There was no way she could stay mad at a face that precious. She sighed, realizing she was deeper in this than she thought. The thought of actually liking our girl started to take root. She looked at her reflection, accepting her own feelings. Liking her didn't seem like it would be difficult at all. Back in the present, Liu Yang is still processing the massive news. Su Gui teases her one last time about the puke just to keep her grounded. Our girl finally gathers her courage and asks if she can pursue her for real. Su Gui looks away, her own cheeks flushing pink. Liu Yang's eyes are practically glowing with hope. She asks one more time, needing to hear it clearly. With a soft smile, Su Gui gives her the green light. Our girl is absolutely pumped, ready to give it her all to win her over. Yang pleads for a chance to prove herself, gripping hands like her life depends on it. She holds on tight, desperate for the validation she's been denied for so long. Su Gui tries to smooth things over by setting strict work boundaries for her vacation, admitting she was in the wrong. She acknowledges the hurt she caused, finally putting her relationship above the project. Mom adjusts her glasses, looking skeptical but clearly affected by the sincerity in the room. Our poor heroine pulls her hand back, a bitter "I'm used to it" slipping through her lips. She refuses to let them off the hook that easily after all the neglect. She finally lets it out. Everyone and everything has always been more important to her mother than her own daughter. Mom looks on, devastated to realize just how deep these scars really go. Look at those teary eyes. Our girl has been carrying this heartbreak for way too long. The atmosphere is suffocating as the weight of the truth sinks. She notices the wrinkles on her mother's face and wonders when they became so deep and numerous. The mood shifts as Mom awkwardly tries to offer more food, desperate to fix the distance. She promises to order whatever her daughter likes, trying to buy back a bit of love. Mom smiles at Su Gui, realizing she's been the bridge keeping them from falling apart. Su Gui plays it cool, but the dialogue reveals she's suddenly drowning in a massive wave of guilt. She tries to hide her blush, feeling responsible for the family drama unfolding. Mom is suddenly eager to see where Yang lives, promising not to stay the night. She just wants to see how her daughter is actually doing for once. Yang plays it aloof, telling her to decide for herself while Su Gui watches the awkward exchange. Our girl is a mess of conflicting emotions, acting like she doesn't care while her eyes say otherwise. She looks down, struggling to find the words to either welcome or reject her. Cut to the apartment, where the quiet of the living room feels heavier than the restaurant. Mom scans the place, surprised to find it actually looks like a functional, organized human lives here. While Mom snoops around, Yang is glued to her phone, checking sweet messages from Su Gui. That little smile says everything. Our girl is absolutely swooning over those supportive texts. Mom is genuinely shocked that her daughter is this tidy, but Yang reminds her there's a lot she never bothered to know. The silence between them is deafening as the years of missed connections pile up. Mom takes a deep breath, feeling the sting of her daughter's cold honesty. She pulls out a gift, a watch she saw near the project site that she thought would suit her. It's a peace offering, a way of saying, "I was thinking of you even during work hours." Yang gives a simple thanks, but the gesture isn't lost on her. They sit side by side on the couch, the distance between them still feeling like a canyon. The silence stretches on as they both struggle to find anything to say. Mom finally prepares to leave, dropping safety advice like she's trying to make up for lost time. She reminds her to lock the doors, sounding like a worried parent for the first time in forever. She tells her to call if any problems arise, looking like she's afraid to leave. She even suggests calling Su Gui, trusting the woman who finally brought her daughter back to her. They stand at the door, the finality of the visit hanging in the air. The footsteps pause at the threshold, the tension reaching a breaking point. Yang hesitates, her face a mask of indecision as she stares at her mother's back. She finally lets out a desperate "Mom." She offers the ultimate olive branch. "It's late, so why not just sleep here?" Mom turns back, her eyes wide with shock at the sudden invitation. Her eyes soften as a genuine, gentle smile breaks across her face. She simply says okay, and for the first time, the rift begins to heal. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Jiang Sui is cackling at a variety show like a chaotic gremlin. She's totally absorbed in her show while her roommate is drowning in work. Xiao Lan is working overtime and is absolutely done with the constant noise. Jiang Sui doesn't even look up from her snacks, totally ignoring the annoyance radiating from her roommate. Xiao Lan walks away with a my bad, but her face says she's planning something savage. She causes a little chaos just to mess with Jiang Sui's relaxation time. Xiao Lan leaves feeling satisfied and refreshed, while Jiang Sui throws a total tantrum on the couch. Back in the office area, the atmosphere is professional and cold. Xiao Lan stops in her tracks when she spots a specific photo frame on the desk. It's a picture of the two of them together, looking like actual friends for once. Xiao Lan looks at it with a pained expression, her mind racing back to their history. Jiang Sui casually asks for a cold drink, completely unaware her secret has been found. She's lounging around, acting like her rival isn't holding her most private motivation. But the mood shifts instantly when Xiao Lan demands an explanation for the photo. She holds the frame like a piece of evidence in a crime scene. She wants to know why Jiang Sui would keep a picture of the person she supposedly hates. Jiang Sui finally raises her head, realizing her motivator has been completely exposed. Xiao Lan remembers this photo clearly. It was taken during the year they were fighting the most. It was the peak of their rivalry, yet it's the one Jiang Sui kept. Flashback to 6 years ago, where a younger Jiang Sui is apologizing for being late again. She promises to be the first one in the office tomorrow, trying to play it off with a smile. She tries to win the office over with sweets, playing the bubbly, outgoing girl. Everyone loves the free cake, and she's quickly becoming the office favorite. She uses the treats as an apology for her lack of punctuality. The coworkers are all over it, swooning over the best cake ever. But when she offers some to Xiao Lan, the reaction is freezing. Xiao Lan pushes it away, telling her to focus on her responsibilities instead of snacks. She's all business, refusing to let Jiang Sui's charm offensive work on her. Jiang Sui tries to laugh it off, but the rejection clearly leaves a mark. She turns away, the outgoing girl mask slipping for just a second. The office tension was legendary, with coworkers whispering in the shadows. They judge Xiao Lan for being pretentious and acting like she's the only capable person. Word gets out that there's only one promotion left and the rivalry turns toxic. They all agree Jiang Sui is better because she's good at conversation. Overhearing them say she's arrogant and tiring to work with breaks something inside Xiao Lan. She locks herself away, the weight of the office politics finally becoming too much to bear. She grips the handle, her world feeling like it's crashing down around her. She just wants to walk out and never look back. In the darkness, the perfect worker finally lets the tears fall in silence. She tells herself to fix her makeup and act like the heroine of a TV drama. She'll watch those people flee without saying a single word. Back in the present, Xiao Lan asks why she would frame a photo of her rival. Jiang Sui calls her a motivator, the person who keeps her from getting lazy. One look at this picture and she's instantly driven to work harder. She admits she's terrified of being outdone by someone as capable as Xiao Lan. She's afraid of not being as good, of falling behind her rival's shadow. Jiang Sui confesses that she inspires her drive and ignites her passion. Without this rivalry, her smooth life would be nothing but boring. But there's another possibility, she whispers under her breath. Maybe she has a massive crush and just wants to look at her all the time. She leans in close, the tension between them shifting from rivalry to something much more chaotic. The next morning, the office is buzzing, but Su Gui has other things on her mind. She starts the day with a cute good morning text to her favorite girl. She's grinning like a fool at her desk, looking at bunny-shaped clouds. Su Gui is absolutely whipped, and she isn't even trying to hide it. She teases Yang Yang for only knowing how to pursue someone through texts. She sends a voice message, mocking her lack of practice in the art of romance. Su Gui reflects on how much has changed since she finally said, I can. Their relationship looks the same on the surface, but the depth is completely different. It's a feeling of safety and anticipation she's never experienced before. She's waiting for Yang Yang to take the next step and do it. A knock at the door reveals Yang Yang herself, delivering takeout with a shy smile. Su Gui is stunned to see her show up at the office unannounced. Our girl explains she's doing some emergency practice for her pursuit skills. She brought a new dish for Su Gui to try, looking absolutely adorable. With those sparkling eyes and a hopeful look, how could anyone say no to her? She's putting in the work to win her heart for real this time. Look at this spread. Our girl Su Gui really outdid herself with a homemade feast that puts takeout to shame. Yang Yang is absolutely glowing, though she plays it cool by saying these were just pre-prepared dishes. Su Gui is suspicious. Did this busy woman really come all the way to the office just to deliver lunch? Yang Yang claims she was just nearby on a business trip, but the blush on her face tells a much sweeter story. Our poor heroine is practically vibrating with nerves, dying to know if her cooking actually hits the spot. Su Gui takes a bite and the flavor explosion is real. She's savoring every single second of this puppy's hard work. Then comes the ultimate move. Su Gui offers a bite leading to a heart-stopping indirect kiss. They're both chewing in a stunned silence as the realization of what just happened sinks in. Our girl is buffering, suddenly hyper-aware that they just shared the same pair of chopsticks. Su Gui is such a savage tease, claiming she swallowed too fast and needs to be fed one more time. Look at those sparkly eyes. Yang Yang is completely defenseless against this level of flirting. She tries to regain her composure, telling the older woman to just feed herself already. But let's be real, seeing our girl get this flustered is clearly the highlight of Su Gui's entire day. The mood shifts when they bring up the weekend talk with Yang Yang's mother, Auntie Zhu. Yang Yang nearly chokes on her food when she reveals the bombshell question her mom dropped. Apparently, Mama Zhu saw those late-night texts and decided to go straight for the jugular. One little notification from Su Gui was all it took to set off the motherly intuition alarms. In the middle of the night, her mom asked point-blank if she likes Su Gui more than her own mother. Our girl is sweating bullets, worried that the truth might have caused a massive family feud. But Yang Yang is a total boss and admitted that yes, she absolutely does prefer Su Gui. Su Gui is visibly moved, realizing just how much she truly means to this girl. She promises to stop overprotecting her and finally respect whatever decisions our girl makes for herself. Su Gui tells her to stop losing sleep just to cook for her, wanting her to prioritize her own rest. But Yang Yang isn't backing down, insisting she has plenty of energy to keep taking care of her favorite person. She even starts piling more beef onto Su Gui's plate, telling her she needs to eat up so she can finally grow up. Meanwhile, over at the staff restaurant, the atmosphere is way less romantic for poor Xiao Lan. She's just trying to enjoy her meal when a mysterious hand swoops in and steals the best part of her lunch. It's none other than Jiang Sui, shamelessly munching on the fish and claiming she's just trying to help. The office gossip mill is already spinning out of control, seeing these two rivals finally sharing a table. Xiao Lan is fuming because that was the last fish in the cafeteria, and this blonde menace just snatched it. It's a total chibai war zone as they bicker over the food like a pair of chaotic siblings. The coworkers are honestly just waiting for the enemies to lovers arc to officially kick in at this point. But things get serious when Jiang Sui brings up a question from that night that still hasn't been answered. Xiao Lan tries to dodge the tension, mentioning that her mother has finally headed back home. Then she drops the real kicker. She's moving out of Jiang Sui's place by tomorrow at the latest. The silence is deafening as Jiang Sui processes the fact that her roommate is making a break for it. She gives her a savage smirk, warning our girl that playing with fire is a dangerous game she might not be ready for.